Hey, everybody, this is Devin with the Christ Light and Love Healing Training Center in the middle of the Berkshire, Kentucky vortex. I'm back with part two with TNKY Bigfoot, Matt and Jim. So they're coming back and they're going to do our best to kind of bring us to a close this evening, but we still may have to go to a part three. We're not sure what's going to happen. We're going to kind of play it by ear here. But Matt, I think when we left off in the last episode, and everybody who's watching this episode, I'm going to link to the first episode in the bottom. So if you're tuning into part two, my suggestion is go right back to part one, and all this should make a whole lot more sense. But Matt, we started off episode one, and we were talking a little bit about some of the things you were experiencing as a child, because I think that's important to some of the things you're experiencing today. And you talked about a lot of different things that you were experiencing, and at one point you talked about turning it all off. But you started to open up a little bit on episode one about the ability to see some people who have passed on to the other side. And so I've asked you on this episode to come back on and sort of, open up a little bit more about that, because I know myself, that's not ability that too many of us have. And so I know for a lot of our audience, they want a little bit more detail. They want something to chew on. They want to know a little bit more about, the life of a seer. So can you tell me a little bit more about some of those early childhood experiences where you're seeing people on the other side, Matt?
Yeah, I'll explain a little bit. Explain the little child I saw that ran around the corner, and the other ones, if possible. I saw this. We were coming back from the recess, going to a lunch or something like that, and we were walking through the outside halls, and I saw behind us this young girl. She, I couldn't really tell if it was, if she was see-through or if she just moved fast. I know that. She moved fast around the corner. I saw her hair and her body and her hair, and the light was shining from that way towards her, towards me. So she's in between the sun and me. So all I see is the black shadow type of deal. But I could see the clothings. I went up there, ran out of line to see this girl that ran around the corner, because I thought she might have been in our class, supposed to be in our line or something like that, or something. I had to go and see. Went around the corner and there was nothing. No girl, no nothing. So I thought that was weird. And the teacher didn't saw me out of line yet. And so I stood there for a few seconds, and I heard her say that she was laughing at first. That's what it was. She was laughing at first whenever I got around the corner and said, "I got you." And I was like, "You got me? I don't even see you. You didn't get nobody because I can't even see you." This is what I remember. And I said, "What happened? Why are you not here?" I was confused. And then the teacher saw me, and then got back in line, and we were just walking back through that area again. And I was absorbing what I just saw and what I was hearing. And since I was in the back of the line again, I stood in that spot again for a few more seconds longer, to absorb what I just witnessed and see if she's still around. And she was. And I said, "What happened to you? Why are you still here? And why have you not moved on?" And she said she didn't know that she could move on. Where can she go? She just started in this world, and and now I'm walking around this school. I just can't get out of school. And I was so confused why she couldn't get out of school. So I told her about Jesus at the time. The first time I ever heard about Jesus during that same time period. I said, "There's Jesus. I heard that he has some light you can go to. For all I know, I don't know." And she said, "That's cool. I'll see what I could do with that, But she also said that she died there, and she didn't know why or how she died. She just died, and there was other ones that was there. This was later on when I saw that there was other ones, since I saw that. So that day went by. I saw that, and so the next day we were going towards recess and walking outside again, and there was a kid, a boy, he was walking with us in line, and I was talking to him, and there was my buddies to the right of me, and this kid to the left of me, and my buddies were like, "Who are you talking to?" And I realized I was talking to nobody, and I was confused of why I'm even talking to the wind. It felt like I was just talking to the wind, and that's during the time period where I was realizing I can't be talking to these beings because my buddies don't see it. People around me doesn't see it, and the teacher tells me to get back in line. From seeing something that went around the corner, and my buddies, they didn't understand why I was talking to the air, because I was doing that a lot in computer class. I forgot about that. I was talking a lot to myself in computer class. We were just all lined up in computers and stuff, and it was like they're always around me or around all of us, while we're playing our little games or trying to learn how to type on the keyboard, playing on the learning how to work the computers, for computer class. And these kids were always behind us. And so a few times I get caught up in talking, just telling them, because they were very intrigued about these computers and these technologies. And they're like saying they could travel through it and stuff like that. And I said, how can you travel through this? And stuff like that, talking out loud. I've always been, for a few months, I was talking out loud to these beings behind me, these kids. And they always said they wish they had that type of technology. That's some cool stuff. They're kids, though. So I ended up cutting it off because of those reasons, because I'm talking to myself all the time. It's kind of weird. My buddies thought I was weird, so I was kind of getting pushed out of the fun groups, playing around with the slides and stuff like that. So I cut that abilities off for those reasons during that time period. And I still got my abilities to my seeing these beings walking around. I still have that ability cut off because I still don't see the point of seeing them, besides trying to help them out. I don't mind hearing them, but I prefer not to see them because, they moved on already.
Yeah, can I give you a little precursor to what's coming? You're like, your story is that of the shaman, brother. Like you turned it off, and same with me, right? And then something happens to where either you're forced to turn it back on, or it just sort of turns back on. So if this is the thing, if you were born with it, brother, and if you kind of got that shaman at heart, your reincarnated shaman, like that's your path, man. It's going to come back one way or the other. But you can request a source just to sort of shut it all down, and it'll shut down. God just always says, sort of as you wish. But I think you're fine. I think you eventually find, though, that it'll come back. I mean, and hey, if you're on a spiritual path, I don't care who you are. You don't have to be a seer or a psychic. But the higher you're going to get up on that spiritual path, everybody begins to see these things, whether they like it or not. It's just part of the territory of raising your vibration. So, I don't know. We'll talk again here in a few years, and we'll see if that hasn't turned back on. But this is the thing. This is the thing, Matt. I would look at that as just being one little small trinket of probably what you've got the capability of doing. But once you start to really embrace again why you've come and what those gifts are, then brother, it can do some unpacking, and you might blow your own mind of what you've actually come in and with the skill set you have. So, keep that in mind. You can always you turn it off, but you can always say, no, we're just going to full blow it and see where this thing goes. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna hold it against you because I understand, it's a lot of stuff. But you also remember this though too. You can get to the point where you can open it all up, and then you can kind of shut it down and turn it back on when it serves. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people have to be trained who are channels or who are channeling or who channel a lot of stuff, just how to shut that ability down, from certain hours of the day, so they can, just like you were in school, rather than being distracted by all the things around you and having all the kids say, "Oh, he's a little oddball." You do your oddball stuff, in your own time, away, and you turn it down the rest of the time. But that's just, that's me ranting. Well, that's cool, and I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you one other detail, on this. Do you remember like the kids' clothing? Do you remember what they were wearing? Was it current day? Was it?
No. What she was wearing was it was like a white dress that I forgot about this part, but I remember seeing her clothing, but I couldn't remember very clearly. But I remember more clearly now. She had more of a bottom white dress, but the top part was very dark. It was like a white dress with black lines in it. So it's like the light is shining through the dress, but I could see her legs through the dress type of deal, and her
Could
body and hair.
could you put a time frame on her clothing?
She was too far away for me to get a visual of what her clothes looked like. But all the kids around that I've been with, they weren't in dresses.
Yeah.
They did
Well,
a 1 day dress or 1 week dress with all the girls type of stuff, but it wasn't like that dress from what I saw.
I was going to say, when you were growing up, there weren't many girls wearing dresses when I grew up, and I imagine through you, there's probably even far fewer kids wearing dresses. Sometimes you can. I've noticed sometimes when you'll see different spirits that they'll actually be still wearing whatever it was at the time. So if they're from the 1800s, they've got their Victorian dress on or whatever it is. So,
Oh,
well,
that
anyway,
boy. Sorry. That boy that I was walking with, that I was talking to, that boy had no shoes on, you know? And he was making fun of me wearing shoes. I was like, how can you make fun of me for wearing shoes when you got no shoes on? He was a funny kid. He was hilarious. He was joking with me like that. So I was like,
well,
dude,
you
I would rather not have shoes. I told him. The teachers tell me I have to wear shoes now. It was a fun
well,
conversation with it.
you might be able to put that little kid then back. My father growing up didn't have his own shoes until he was 18. So, my father being, well, he almost 80 years old now, God rest in peace. But, who knows? You could have been looking at somebody, that would have been, well, not your father's age, obviously, but, 30, 40 years older that could have been around at that time. Who knows? But I find that interesting though, just to like when we can get a glimpse at these people of past, just getting up at what their garb is they're wearing, I think can show us tell us a lot about like what time they come from. So anyway, um, well I think we're going to go ahead and bring Dad in and try to open this story up a little bit more, and I'm going to give you guys the reins. I mean, I've already told my audience I've got a 30,000-foot overview of what this story is, but just like them, I don't know all the details. I don't know all the fine points. And so, guys, I'm going to let you guys open up on it because I know that we're talking more than just Bigfoot experiences here, although I know everybody and their mom would love to have an experience like that. But I think we've got a bigger message and a bigger picture that's been unfolding and you've been given during your own experiences. So I'm just going to sit back and let you guys take the ball.
Okay. While you guys were talking, I went ahead and tried to get my notes ready.
There you go.
So that I can kind of move forward because, we talked a little bit about our experiences our last conversation, and on my channel you can watch the details of the experiences we have. We've sat down, we've done that, but let me go through and try to put everything together real quick here. All right, so we had 2 Bigfoot experiences, and we went to YouTube about 3 years ago as a document. And then we met a couple psychics on Facebook, and that was like, what, psychics? And see, at that time, Matthew hadn't told me or talked to me about this stuff his entire life. I didn't know. Anyway, so let's see, same time, Matt started talking to, he started talking to trees was the first experience that I was like, wow. And he couldn't make this stuff up. And so that was the first time I realized, and I think he was starting to realize, he started telling us that, what these trees were doing. And we were working on trees, and the trees were telling us to pull the muscadine vines off of us. And so it was amazing. And we're slow walking all this because at that time, I'm skeptic of psychics or people that have intuition. I was skeptic. I was like, I don't know about that stuff. I don't know I don't know, son. And so anyway, as time went by, we were following more psychics, or met more people we met Chloe. We followed her about 3 years on YouTube. And she, I think, was the one that kind of gave him the idea about talking to the Bigfoot, Scott. We didn't know his name at the time. We named him Scott. But anyway. And so, that was his first time he actually went from trees to other plants and rocks, anything. He talked anything. And so we started talking to Scott. And Scott's a Bigfoot. He's about 17 years old. Matt used to run with him as a kid. So they actually known each other.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's known him all of his life. They used to run. Scott would basically be jogging, running beside him. I mean, you couldn't see him. He was in the other dimension, whatever you want to call that stuff. But anyway, he was
jumping through the trees, actually.
He was jumping through the trees.
Yeah.
So, they grew up as kids, basically. But then and one of the psychics had realized that there was a giant that had came down to Kentucky, in our experience. And so she had talked to him. And so that was maybe, I don't know, a month or two later, Matt started talking to the giant. We named him George, or his name was George. Can't remember the whole story. But anyway, so now we're talking to a Bigfoot and a giant. And okay, so this is really cool. And we're learning so much. You could ask a question anytime, so we all learn to learn. We love to learn stuff. So we learned all this stuff about trees, and Scott taught us so much stuff, and George was talking so much stuff. And then there was a thing when George and Scott started talking together. I think it was when you guys were having problems with the energies and the way you were talking. You were getting shivers and these other problems. And so as those two guys started talking together, Scott being the Bigfoot, George being the giant, they, I don't know, I don't want to say they became friends, but what happened was Chloe's down in Australia, and they liked her energy or whatever. I haven't asked them this. I just know that they went down to Australia. And so I get a message from Chloe, and she's like, your Bigfoot family is coming to visit us. And she explains everything that we had never told her. The dad is this, the mom is this, the baby looks like this. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So we asked Scott and George, hey, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, we went down and, was hanging out with Chloe. And so she was channeling them on TV, and she's getting a kick out of it. We're getting a kick out of it because this is really funny and really cool. And then while they were down there, they run into some of the ETs. They hate Bigfoots, hate ETs with a passion. And giants do too, because they're just they can be horrible. And when they got down, they run into certain types of ETs that they were fearful of, and they found that they could actually get along with certain ones. And also down at Chloe's, there was a dragon and some fae that she had. And so they learned George. Now George, he could go around the ring of fire to go down to Australia. He's a giant, but he also could swim. So he swam across the Pacific. And Scott, he's our local Bigfoot. His mind's blown, I'm sure. He rode on Scott's back when Scott when George swam across the Pacific to go over there. But anyway, they end up. So her dragon and Faye came here. So there's this whole world opening up where all of these things are breaking curses, and they're all trying to. It's just not just the humans that are trying to, well, I don't know if humans are. Well, yeah, we're trying to break through the lies. If we get the truth, then we would be breaking through the lies. I mean, everyone could do telepathy. Everybody has, all these abilities and gifts that, we've all been dumbed down through, all the stuff that they've done to humanity. But anyway, George, and like I said, he ended up taking Scott through Russia to see a Yeti and all this other great stuff. So Scott was blown away with the Yeti, and he's a Bigfoot, but he'd never seen a Yeti in his life.
Yeah.
But that's the point is they're not just, they're all trying to break the curses of the hate and the judging. And that was the biggest thing. They really taught us a lot about judging.
And they're doing it with their own clans themselves.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. George, like they say, George, he's got, another person that was a friend of ours. Her name is Susie, and she's out in Australia. Not Australia. I mean,
Arizona.
Arizona.
Somewhere's up there. Yeah.
But there's two giants out there that wear crowns. And of course, George is like, oh, Lordy. See, they have the same problems we got. People wearing crowns, a priest, all these religious people. See, that's the giants have the exact same BS that we got. And the Bigfoots are the exact same. They're and the ETs, the good ones. Like I said, the grays and some of these are just no. They're very manipulative ETs out there. But anyway, and they're blowing our minds because I cannot believe how much they've told us and how much they want us to know. And they're not slowing down because they really are. The biggest thing is judging people. They don't want people. They're willing to tell us things that so that we won't fear them. But the humans have got to get over this.
Yeah.
We've got to get over judging each other. Just like they've got to do the same thing. We've got to go forward. I don't know. This is just my hypothesis. I don't know if there's a veil that's going to come down and we're going to see and we're going to all be together on this earth and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. And you're going to have people that are going to faint from heart attacks because they're fearing, instead of, not judging. Because I've realized you see a Bigfoot, first thing you're going to judge and then you're going to fear. Or you see some elemental, or you see something that, you can't believe it. You're going to, judging comes from you fear. You judge something, you're going to get your guns out and start shooting at these Bigfoots. So I'm kind of thinking there's a time that's coming. This is just my opinion because more and more people are having these experiences, and it's like we're not going to be able to stay apart no more. It's like God's like, that's enough. You guys are going to come together whether you like it or not. He's going to if he takes away the veil and you walk out and they can't hide no more. And we've agreed with Scott, it's best to get along right now before the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's better to realize you have friends in the woods.
Yeah, right. Humans
enemies
need to,
because of your own self.
Learn, humans need to learn to stop judging. Right. As Jesus taught us. And like I said, the information they're sharing with us, they'll tell you anything. They are. I mean, that's really where we want to really go with the whole message. Is that's it might be. I think it's coming about because I don't know any other reason why they are actually having to say we got to start making friends with humans, and and the giants are like, I got to make friends with humans too, because at one time the giants, the dragons, us, we built the pyramids together.
Yeah,
The way used to be all of us. It used to be we worked with the giants, we worked with the Bigfoots, we worked with the dragons. The dragons carried the big rocks.
Yeah, it was. We thought of the plan. God created us to think in the image of Him. So we thought, and the giants, they formed the way. Well, we humans thought the way the giants formed the way, and the dragons carried the way.
Right.
That's how it was.
That's how the way it used to be. We all used to be.
We are big
Right.
in the brain. We got big brain for a reason. You know, we actually can use our abilities to direct things to be good, extreme ways.
Right, and really pretty much that's the main part I want to say, because that's what I'm motivated by George the Giant, and I'm motivated by Scott, because there's so much more that we'll tell you, but we ain't gonna tell you in this session because you ain't got time to do it. But
Well, we still got about an hour.
you still got about an hour. Well, I'll tell you
about
what. Let's see how where we want to go.
God.
Good.
God created all things, right? God created everything. That means he loves all that he created. Because whenever he created it, it was good. Everything he built was good whenever he created it. Everybody got their individual way of doing things. So, I mean, out of the spectrum, we all got our own choices, and we all got our own choices to make with each other. And it's better to try to get along.
Okay, so now I'm gonna give you. That will throw you off the ledge, because I mean, I'm assuming that the people that are going to tune in are kind of have a little bit more open-minded. I'm hoping by this point in the video, anybody that's closed-minded, they're gone. So let's go ahead and tell you some stuff. Like, for example, Scott. Now he's a Bigfoot. Now he goes. They vacation in a place called, well, what we would call hell. There's all these glowy creatures and all this stuff that would kill you if you walked in there with fear. Now Jesus taught them how to do this, and you know, and that's just too cool. He's told us so much about. He's told us so much about the details of this place. But people, like, he talked about one man that was a really brave man that went there, you know, physically, because it's like underground, and he went there. And he killed 2 or 3 creatures.
2 big giant creatures.
He killed them, and the guy died.
Yeah.
But he had such a heart that down there there's this
algae
that regenerates you. Jesus also taught them how to regenerate. I mean, you
can tear off your arm.
You can tear off your arm, put it right back on.
Wrap it up with algae, and it'll grow right back.
So they took this guy and they brought him back to the surface, and they covered him up in algae, and he regenerated. Right, but I mean, that just shows you they love heart, and that was just a good one of the things they were telling us about.
Do you understand this hell to be inner Earth?
Well, yeah. Well, this, you want to talk about the fiery hell, or the one in the middle? There's
2 types of hell.
There's a pre-hell.
Where they vacation?
Where they vacation is not. Yes.
Okay, so there's 3 different types of hells. There's the physical one underneath this earth, you know, that I physically can go to type of deal. And for reasons of why you want to call it while we would consider it hell, it's a place where you could really get torn up by your own thoughts. Like these creatures, if you have a sense of like fear of this creature, that creature is going to attack you, because automatically it's on an attack. It's going to attack the heck out of you. But you know, the amount of fear that you have will kill you. That's what would happen.
If you've ever done LSD and had a bad trip, that's what hell is. If you fear while you're on LSD, and you know, you will trip out. You will. It's bad. You learn on LSD. You learn. Do not fear. I'm on LSD. Laugh. Because if you do not learn that quick, and you do not remember that quick, and you do not practice that, I know people that's done very bad LSD trips, and it's messed them up for life. It can physically, because you know what you believe is real, in that kind of way. But you're talking about hell. See, where they go, a Bigfoot will pull his arm off and beat you with it, and it's all out of fun.
And they'll terrorize you. That's why they do it, because they see you fearing. They're going to make you really fear now. They're like, you're going to fear? Well, what shit?
I'll pull my arm
off and just start beating you with it. Wouldn't that terrorize you a little bit? Yeah, that'll terrorize me a little bit. But then you got to realize, if you were laughing when you see this giant pull his arm off, you're like, that's funny, then the Giants are gonna be like, okay, I can't do nothing to this guy because he's already cracking up, so I'm gonna have to fall down and laugh at myself.
There's these pure places down beneath that is so pure that the algae, I want to say algae.
It is algae.
That stuff is so pure. He was talking about this one berry or something, blueberry or whatever.
Oh, it's like a coconut.
It's like a coconut. See, coconuts have the white. This is what Bigfoot, some of the stuff. Coconut's got the white interior. It's pure. It's like its own purity, right? It's got the white shell, black inside. And down there's these berries, and I remember, I forget, it was Scott was telling us about. He told me that it was like 10 times worse than the acid trip I took. I took acid when I was young, about 20, but he said it's like 10 times.
Yeah, more. 10 times.
But they have this plant that has these berries, they eat them, and it's got the, like I said, berry, and it's pure inside. But the purity in that place has all kinds of miraculous properties, of course, because it's pure. It's so pure. But then you're talking
with the white inside and a blue shell on the outside. I remember now. It's like you could peel off the outside shell. The husk is blue. That's what it was. The husk was blue, and the when you break it open, it was white on the inner, and it's full of some type of water. I'm trying to remember it. Oh,
it's pure. It's pure.
It's like I can almost taste it right now. It's so sweet. I mean, the sweetness is like, it doesn't like. When you drink it, it doesn't like just feel like you're drinking water or anything. It like literally goes into your cells of your mouth, your teeth, and everything. Like it just bleeds through your teeth, like not bleeding, but it just like goes through it, and you feel it go in your nervous system. I can feel it right now. So, how they drink it is like, wow, it just lights you up.
That'd be like the first stage of hell, but then there's 2 other stages.
Yeah, the 2 other stages. So the second stage is your spiritual hell. And it's where you spiritually put yourself there.
The lady that had his throat.
This lady was gossiping a lot. This lady, these demons were there. She was very high and mighty, thinking like, I've already asked forgiveness. I paid my way. I already gave all my money away, and I still, going to hell. That doesn't even make sense. So she's not going to accept that. Telling other people or whatever,
gossiping and screwing all these people up all over her life. She wouldn't accept that.
A lot.
She basically wouldn't repent. So they would.
So they the demons pulled her jaw and mouth open like that, and then filled her up with something, or
sit there and poke her with these rusty ass knives right into her throat. But they would torture her over and over and over and over, and that's pre-hell. Now that's before you get to the gates.
Yeah.
There's a place where they just torture the shit out of people in their own mind for what they've done. And when you get to the gates, there's the gate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're not even hell yet. Actually, you're trying to make it. You're working to get there.
I gotta explain this part, because I can't just move past to the next hell, because that's worse. So this part of the hell, whenever you see that maybe you was a victim, that you did the same thing where you like gossip, and you should be put in that position too. Like, you got to like see this, like, oh Lord, did I do it myself? It's for whoever, saw this, and like, am I going to go through the same thing? Because I said the same words that she said. Oh Lord, please help me, forgive me. Once you do that, and you do it from your sincere heart, and you're willing to change and not say those words, instantly the light will pull you up and you're out.
Yeah,
and you're able to laugh for once more. Well,
who was that went down there? It was George. Was it George that was at the gates, or was it Scott? George.
No, that was a video you were watching, but George did help me to see that was actually real. Yeah, it was George that showed me that.
Because he said standing right in front of the gates. Mm-hmm. That was when he accepted that he deserved it. And once he accepted that
he deserved that punishment, it's like I accepted death. Just to go in and accept accepting the continuous death that I deserve. Go through the pain and then get rejuvenated. Go through the pain, you get rejuvenated spiritually. Get torn up in pieces. I accept it, because dang gun.
I don't know what happens after the gate. What did George say after the gate?
When you get past that gate,
you can't get out.
There's no return, because that lady, whenever she was getting tortured, she has a time of being there, and she can eventually say, forgive me. And when she does that, then she could be able to be forgiven. But she had to go through the torturing. But if she doesn't, and through a full year, 5 years, 7 years of not doing it, and she's still being tortured, she's going to be stuck in behind them gates for 1,000 years to see if she can, or so, it's something to those effects. I don't know exactly, but it sounds like it's like 1,000 years type of deal. Maybe God's years, for all I know. But they'll be stuck behind them gates, and you can't return because God doesn't want to hear you. God's like, I don't want to even hear you. I showed you your problems, and you're doing this, and you're gossiping. So now I just don't want to see you. I was hoping that this little bit of torturement could help you to like accept that maybe I've done something wrong. Can you say that? Can you say maybe I've done something wrong? Can you say that in your heart? If you can't, then you're still going to get tortured.
They torture over and over and over. They torture over and over.
Keep you going.
Tortured over and over with your own sins until you basically realize, okay,
maybe I did.
Maybe I did.
Maybe I should. So
recently, now where's George at right now? Can you ask him?
Yeah, George is. Oh,
who's he at now?
Well, he got out of. Good Lord,
I just wonder where he's at. We'll talk to George again.
George shaking his head right now, like, yeah, you might be riding my party here.
He is. No, see, let me. Where's he at?
Okay, he's in South Pole.
South Pole. Okay, so look now, George. He had went to Australia, come back. It was really nice. Took Scott through Russia, showed him a Yeti. Scott's still tripping on the Yeti. And so anyway, George, about a week ago, we say, where you at, George? He was between Hawaii and Mexico and swam down to a cave where he told us the whole story, where he swam into this cave and it was one tight spot. It was really tight. And he got up through it. He's told us how he had to get through it. He explained it. Then there was a shore and it was really slippery. He kept falling down and he got up inside this cave and it's like a dome. And there was two caves. One of them had a yellow light and the other one had some other color. And he went through the yellow light. So the next day, because he was still traveling, a couple of days later, we're like, George, where you at? And so he met up in it's like a dome, like a city, and there's a whole bunch of giants there. I don't think we got a whole lot more information, but he's hanging out with a bunch of giants. And then we got to talking to him, and then him and the giants realized that they wasn't done. They actually, from the conversation they were having with us, while George is with them down there, they were talking about, they realized that if they're still alive, they have a chance. And so there was some revelations going on there with him and George and those giants down there.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool.
Now, I want to explain about that one. That's interesting.
Go ahead.
See, you're still alive. You still got a chance. That's what George was trying to figure out. That's why he left his tribes and stuff like that, his religions and stuff like that. He cut off all of his religious practices. He cut all that stuff inside of him. He killed everything. Just like said, no, I don't want to be a part of nothing and nobody and anything inner or outer around me. Don't want to be a part of it. So he did that. And he was just having a fight with God. Like, am I cursed? Am I like going to be? Then he had to learn how to define curse. What's a curse? So he had to go through these trials of learning his own terms.
Now, George is 177 years old and Scott's only 17. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he was fighting, trying to figure out his own terms and what's going on. What was it? If you're still alive, you got a chance. So whenever they talk to each other, they were, I don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry.
Okay, well let me move forward because what happened was he was there about 3 days hanging out with them, and he got tired because they party a lot and they're crazy. And trust me, the Bigfoots have the biggest parties, buddy, you've ever seen. Ain't nobody on the show know anything about no parties. The Bigfoots, buddy, when they come together, man, they have the party. We couldn't get near them. Humans can't get near them, man, because they have such a heart and such a party. Anyway, that's a whole different topic.
It's like an ant going into the party of us. You know, like there's an ant on the counter and we're partying. Like, no,
I'm getting crossed off. So anyway, about 3 days he was there, and then we checked with him. And it's like, George, where you at? He had to go cool off. So he goes to the North Pole. right, to cool off. And I'm like, George, man, he's insane, right? And so he's laying up there. Remember, he's laying flat out on the snow in the sun.
No, in the sun.
Yeah, to warm to cool off.
To cool off.
To get away. And so now he says he's in Antarctica.
Yeah, now he's in our Antarctica.
He went down to South Pole.
South Pole. And that cold, cold, cold now. He's cooling off.
He's cool,
It's frozen. It's windy. He's like, man, I'm about to get picked up by the wind. So of course he ain't. He said,
right.
you know, he's cold. He's like, dude, it's nice.
So I mean,
Best temperature.
that's you know, we talk to him every once in a while. I'll be curious. I go, how's George doing? You know, but we went to the grocery store today, and I think we're telling you a little bit. You know, these avocados. I don't buy anything without, man, read this thing, and he'll pick it up and go, well, they're from Mexico, and they don't like it in the cold. They don't like it up here in Tennessee. You know, and it's funny because I mean, we're like, okay, are they good? Yeah, they're good. You know, pick up food, chicken. Is this chicken good? He'll be like, no, this chicken's like, I don't want to make you sick. I'm like, no way. I feel sorry. Some of the chickens, I mean, some of them, you know, the story of some of these animals are sad. And so we're like, okay, we're sorry, we'll put you back. So, I mean, that's just a day. I mean, like you said, you can talk to Scott right now. What's Scott doing right now?
He's on the pounce.
He's on the
He's
pounce.
checking it out. He's about to jump.
And Scott's doing so much work. A friend of mine up in Kentucky, up near your neighborhood, I'd seen him on Facebook, I don't know, 6 months ago. He's like, I had an experience. This will happen. The big, you know, something ran me out of the woods. So we got to talking to him, and I talked him into going out and giving someone a story. So he went on the YouTube and he did his story. And then he went back after that story, and he went out deer hunting, and he went to get his deer, and his deer was torn to pieces. And of course, we're like, got Scott involved. Scott, can you help us? Can you help this guy out? So Scott informed him, you're too close to this one family. You got to get on the other ridge. And so this guy, his name is Topher, but anyway, I could just tell he's one of those people that is close to his heart. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He's in our path for some reason. I don't know why, and then he recently, what 4 days ago, he sends me a thing. He goes, man, because we've been telling him, Scott's been checking on him and working with the clan there. Scott does that. Scott will go anywhere to help anybody. He's been there helping him with the clan that he had problems with. But anyway, he called. I get a message the other day, and he's like, man, you ain't gonna believe this, but the other morning I went to some place where he has wobbles, junk pile, and he was looking through them out in the woods, and a buck come walking up, and he said it was within 15 foot of him. He said he was there for 3 hours, and the buck stayed the entire time. And he said he knew that it was somebody or something spiritual had come to visit him. He said the buck even laid down while he was there. So we talked to Scott the next day. He said,
I've seen 3 Bigfoot, but they were actually disguised as a baby deer and a buck and a female. And when I saw that and I shared that with Lakota, and I said, man, I don't know if does this make sense to you? He said, no, brother, that makes perfect sense. He said, in our legend, right, we'll say that you can be hiking up a mountain thinking you're going to go hunt for Bigfoot, and you walk by what you think is another hunter holding a gun and got a hat on and everything, and they'll say you just walk by Bigfoot. I mean, that so, and I don't know exactly how they do it. I don't think they actually shift into that form. I think they somehow like mess with our mind to make us think that's what we're seeing.
exactly.
It could have been sitting next to Bigfoot the whole time.
Yeah, that's what happened in that case. So we asked Scott what happened, and of course, Topher thought, well, was that, you know? I said, I don't know. I'll talk to Matt. At the time, Matt went in the room, so I'll talk to him tomorrow. So I'll talk to Matt next morning when he gets Scott on the line. Hey, Scott, and Scott says, no, that was not me, but I did put my spirit in that deer. See, so that Scott was there, but he did his spirit was in that deer. But Scott did say, no, that was not me. It was the deer. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool because that's what Scott says. It was not, you know. We asked Scott, was that you? And Scott's like, no, that was not me. but I did put my spirit in that deer. And the purpose was to help Topher know that he's got friends in the woods, to help him get out of the box, because he's been really, he's been a hunter his whole entire life. And this is the total destruction of his life. You're talking PTSD. We went through it for 3 years. You're just like, I'm not going back out in the woods. And so, and the point we made with him was, that's the message that Scott wanted to send him, is that this is love. Scott's like, I'm showing you love. Scott was showing him love, right? And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. That's really, really nice. I mean, Scott went and showed him love. He said he was there for 3 hours. He said that deer was about 15 foot away and even laid down while he was kind of digging through these bottles in the dump or something that they're out in the woods. And then I think it was.
You call him Topher, right?
Yeah.
So was he going through like a rough spot? Generally, that's kind of what you're getting at, right? And so there was some,
because of something scared him out of the woods, and then the last time he went hunting, he went to get his deer, and something tore his deer to pieces. He was too close to that. He was too close to a family, and of course Scott went up there and said, "Okay, you got to go over here to hunt," because see, Bigfoots are forced farmers. They raise deer and turkey, and they don't mind giving you a deer or turkey, but let them choose since it's theirs. Have the right attitude. If you do shoot one of their deers or turkey, you got to respect it. That someone might own that deer or turkey, and Bigfoots do farm them. That's they're forest farmers. That they raise deer and turkey. Them arches. That's to help them old turkeys get on up in the trees. Now, they take care of that. They're family members. Bigfoots are family. They take care of their family. They take care of their deers. They take care of their turkeys. Like we raise chickens. They do the same. They even try to mix. Scott tried to get his turkeys to hang out with our chickens, but I talked Matt into shooting at him, and turkeys won't forgive. Turkeys do not forget.
They don't forget.
They don't forget.
They don't.
Scott told us that. We learn all kinds of stuff like, oops, sorry about that.
Yeah. The turkeys were walking right up against our fence line with the chickens. I could have sworn we don't have some turkeys.
Yeah.
Besides the coyotes on the property, turkeys are the second most evasive,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is when you got Bigfoots around, they could take care of the coyotes. A lot of the coyotes are their pets and stuff. It's all controlled out there. And it's good to stay in good with all things God created, right? It's best to not make enemies with nothing, because, like you said, like Mike was saying, everything God's made is good. It's just that every one of us, mankind, has fallen off, has been hacked and destroyed. The Bigfoots have been hacked and destroyed. The giants have been hacked and destroyed. The Greys are geno manipulators. That's their biggest obsession, is mixing and screwing with things. Bigfoots have been imprisoned and kept tortured. Giants have been, humans, all of us have been tortured and kept underground. And so, the only way I see this world is I see all the humans, and I see how, what's the word I use for it? They're destroyed. They've been hacked. They're crapped up. I mean, all humans are crapped up now. So is the Bigfoot. So, that's you got to have sympathy for what's really happened. Because it's not, none of us have chose to be mixed with genes and the things and tortured and caged. And the government, of course, works with, the government works with a lot of these really bad entities that are doing a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
let me ask you a question. Do you feel like there's any tie-in to what the Bigfoots have been telling you and the message that in general they're giving you? Is there any tie into like the larger picture here of like Hopi prophecy or Mayan prophecy, or that that idea of revelation?
To me, I mean, this is my opinion.
I mean, well, I guess like the Hopi thing. I guess the Hopi thing, right? So the Hopi are, we'll say the Earth divides into two, right? And you either keep going down the downward spiral, and you with the old Earth, or you transcend with this new Earth. And I don't know that it seems to me like you've gotten it directly, but it kind of seems to me like they're trying to say, like, listen, you got a choice, you got a path, you got to like do something here. Is,
Yeah,
do you
yeah. There's two ways it could go, right? Uh, if we, if
because
we,
you're saying that it sounds like they're trying to put away their beef, right? And they're
Yeah.
trying to like fix their shit, right? And they're trying to tell us to do the same.
Right. Right.
It,
Right. But
you know, I guess I don't know. My mind kind of leads to that Hopi prophecy. Well, okay, well, what's the end goal? Why are they saying this? Now, are they saying it because, we all should be like, right, dealing with our shit and staying in our own road as Jesus told us to do in Matthew, stay in your own lane. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm just wondering, like, is it maybe not, do they know what the Hopi know? Do they know that something's coming? And so I guess maybe on their own end, do they also realize, no, if we want to move with the new earth, we got to fix our own shit too.
well, God's rebirthed the earth 3 times.
Yeah. Earth has been reborn 3 times.
I figure at least that many, yeah.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And I think it, to me, there's 2 ways. I'm like you. I'm split. What's going to happen? I believe that either every 414 years we go through a rebirth, which the last, the mud age was the last one. Then you had the flood. But it's kind of.
And then there was another time with Adam and Eve. There was a destruction then that I don't know why it hasn't been spoken of.
But it's
That's
kind
what
of there's a mirror, like for example, we're in a 414-year circle now. If you look at 1902, if you look at anything happened back and forward, it's a duplicate mirror, and it repeats. Right now, the Revolutionary War is where we're at this month, the American Revolutionary War. So it's kind of like we are in a machine that God's created that plows, and I call God like the gardener. And you have to decide, like, for example, this will give you more insight of what I believe. Like, we have to decide whether we're going to plow our gardens every year and start over. It depends on what we have coming or not. If I've got potatoes that are coming up and they're good, I might not plow it. But if it's not worth it and I need to plow, I will plow. And so unfortunately, I do believe that that the earth's going to have to get replowed again. It's kind of like washing of men. It's like, that's another way I like to say it. God has to wash men, or wash you do it every year. We do it. You see it in nature. You have to destroy, you have to plow that garden and plow it all under so that you can start again. I don't know when you're going to ever get to a point where you don't have to destroy the earth again. I don't know. Maybe a point that I think that's why there's a lot of anticipation, galaxies and everywhere is watching Earth, because I think man's at that point again where we're either going to get plowed under, or we're going to, like you say, come to be worth harvesting, be worth bringing forth. There's going to be, like you said, the lands are going to rise. You had both Atlantis and Mu. Atlantis being over in the Atlantic, and Mu being over in the Pacific. Both of those went down, and that was because of their designs. They built huge crystal towers, and they also started doing a lot of tunneling, and they brought those civilizations brought themselves down
because of the tunnels they created.
We get this
big giant towers that they built.
They had towers where giants were walking around in them. So these are huge towers. They had a tower bigger than Scott told you, Mount Everest.
Yeah, bigger than Mount Everest.
Yeah,
in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah. And so those lands went down. That's the mud age, I guess you hear. Those lands went down. Mu, you had the Garden of Eden and all that on the Pacific. That went down.
Yeah.
And God, remember you said it, I think it was who was
that? Do you think Mu is another name for there's Atlantis and what's the other continent that was, because there was like a Pacific and there was an Asian.
Iranian or
I had the tip of my tongue. I'm sure you've seen Edgar Casey's future Earth prediction map. You've seen scallions, right?
Yeah,
And it
I read all
shows
the
those,
education
right? It shows those two land masses coming back up.
yeah, right. So there'll be new land come up, more land go down. And right,
Yeah,
that would be a part of it. Right. That's that's probably coming. I think we're looking at 2040, basically
yeah,
another reset.
why 2040?
It's a machine.
And I'm only asking because somebody else I know recently this week put out 2040,
Yeah.
and his 2040 was kind of a doom and gloom and type thing, which
Yeah.
but why 2040?
Get your math proves everything, right? If you'll take 1902 and you look back, if we go back 50 years from 1902 and look at what happened, a major event, that's the mirror, 1902. And then you go forward and you'll see that, whoa, that's what happened. I'm telling you, it's a mirror. I've done the math. You can do it yourself. 1902, because there's a 414, like it's a 414 year window or circle. It's a 414, 414. Anyway, do the math just on that one. On your when you got time, go to 1902. Like look at where we're at now. Figure out how many years there is back to 1902, and then now go from 1902 back, and you'll see it was American Revolution is where we're at right now. We're getting ready to have something like that happen. It's I'm telling you, it's perfect. And this is just this timeline we're in now. We're not talking. If you go back and look at the other dates, because you have to go back, every one of them has the same mirror effect. So we're living like God's like this is a machine more than anything. It's a God built machine. You know?
But this is 2024, and I'll give you, yeah, we could see an American Revolution this year. I mean, if they don't just implode the whole damn thing on us, right? But
Yeah.
what about 2040? What do you see for that? Is that because I look at where we're at right now. We're also in that solar maximum, and you've been watching the solar flares just like I've been. Well, when this shit starts kicking off, I mean, we're liable to see those earthquakes and those major earth changes, that could lead to those maps that we see, I think. But 2040, I mean, is this the rebirth? Is this mankind coming together? Is this the final of the time of mankind, just like Earth's going to say, no, we're going to have to swallow a bunch of you up? I mean, what do you see for 2040?
Well, 2040
not saying you're psychic, but you're looking at the map and the cycles.
No,
right?
I'm not a psychic. I know. So if you can look up Archaics, he's on YouTube. Archaics. He will do this all mathematically. He does. Archaics. Archaix. Anyway, I send you a link after. But anyway, he shows all this in math. He was in prison in Texas for I don't know most of his life. His dad used to send him all the books. This dude proves it, and that's where people are getting that 1940 from. Archaics. I'm just telling you. He'll settle a lot of things. The mud age, what we're talking about, a lot of the we've been rebirthed. Now, a lot of the stuff we've got from maybe George, but Archaics will fill you in on the math, and it's true. I've even tested it myself. I mean, I was the one that figured out American Revolution is what happened. I mean, he wasn't even talking about that. That way, I didn't get that from him. I got it from my own calculator. I could do some math. If you want to find out what's going to happen in the future, just go. Like I said, right now the mirror is 1902. That's the day. That was the last reset. I think
the last reset. Yeah, where all the orphan trains were.
Remember all the orphan trains? Remember all the orphans? Yeah, all the orphans. Because God took God took that civilization and moved them, didn't he?
Moved them.
He moved them. They got to the point where they had so many kids they didn't even love their children. Now God took that civilization. He took the civilization. He took them. He took that whole civilization off the planet.
Yep.
They took them to a place where they could get corrected. I don't know where they went.
Yeah.
I mean, he did.
Some went to Jupiter. Some went to different planets.
Now, this ain't Archaics. This is stuff.
This is stuff I learned from George himself. George because that's what he was talking to with the other giants down there in the Crystal City down there. Not Crystal City, but that crystal cavern that he was with.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting that information from. So
Well, George had
George's family and all of them, the bad
well,
ones.
he talks about the rebirth of the earth. He's the one that tells that the earth's been rebirthed
three times. Yes.
He split the Pacific's got that crack down the middle where God took about. I mean, George, you should have George tell the story, Chief. Hey, it's George, not kidding me.
I know.
We get George on, but you just get George on, man, if you want. It's like, George, come tell us the rest of the story.
Well, I was at some point, Matt, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I was just going to say, hey, if Spirit leads you and the channel's open, is there anything that any of these George or Scott would like to come and bring to the table? But I ain't going to pressure you, and it's just if you're there or not.
There ain't no pressure.
No, ain't no pressure at all.
You want to eat? You want to eat tomorrow, son?
Yeah.
Get to it, Mark.
I do it to him all the time. I'm like, hey, tell me about this avocado.
Yeah.
You know, if you got access to the truth, use it. It's be dumb not to.
Yeah.
We use it all the time. Hey, what's the matter with this plant? He wants water. He got in trouble the other day because our potato down there wanted water. And I said, hey, this potato's off the ground. He goes, I know. He told me last night. And I was like, why didn't you water?
Yeah.
So anyway, oops. What's George? If George got anything he'd like to say? See George listening to this whole conversation.
Yeah, he is. He likes to talk about.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my question is, with future earth changes, am I going to be underwater or will I be beachfront, new coastal property? Because as I understand it, the new Madrid fault's going to fall in and it's going to be not the Gulf of Mexico, but become the Gulf of Chicago. But I think I'm awful close to that line over here in Burkesville. So I'm kind of wondering.
That's the I'll have to talk to the source for that one, George. He doesn't know where the floods are going to end and how it'll settle and what's going to settle, because from what I'm hearing, it's the water is going to rise and then they're going to sink back down, and that's where the new lands are going to appear. But first, the waters has to rise. So yes, you'll get near or you will be flooded, but you'll have enough time to get to higher lands if you're not in the valleys, that far down. If you're not that far down, if you're kind of on the mountain ridge type of deal, you have more of a chance.
I've already kind of figured if the ground starts shaking, I'm running up the top of my ridge.
You got the place where you need to go.
Yeah.
That's right. If the water keeps rising, you know where to go. Higher ground. So
well, you
got a good spot.
Sitting here on the Cumberland River, though, they got a couple dams that they haven't been able to shore up since the damn things were installed. The earth starts shaking, that whole damn valley's liable to be flooded in a couple minutes.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
true. What does George have anything you want to say, or Scott?
Yeah, George liked that topic about the mountain. No, about how we got to where we're at, about the orphans and stuff like that being all carried around, and why there was so many fatherless children. And that was because the reason why those cities fell was because no one liked their children. They raised their children. They had so many children, but they wouldn't pay attention to their children. They'll raise a child and they'll raise their daughter without giving them a solid husband to be with. Someone that'll be solid, because there's no families around no one around cared enough for their children to have a place to live peacefully and have structure and strength within them. George is also saying that God himself wants everyone to have their own individual push in this world, their own individual creativity in this world. You're the one that changes the frequencies around you. And you are also the one that accepts the frequencies around you, whether they're good or bad. You can let things in front of you takes its course. I don't know how to. Yeah, there it is. Takes its course. You can let things in front of you take its course and have people destruct themselves in front of you. Or if you just caught the lamp from falling, at least you won't have a busted glass on the ground with water everywhere. You know, you're the one that, you know, God wants you to have your own individual force in this world, because without you putting your hands into the situation or having discernment of the reasoning why you don't want to put your hands in certain situations, you know, you want to create a flower, you know, you want to crossbreed plants, do that. Whatever is in you to do. You want to create art, build things, do it, you know, stuff like that. God's definitely for everyone to be their own individual beings. And the giant cities, their home Georgia's cities, you know, they failed because the city was built off of people eating off of each other. You know, it was no love there, you know, to take care of their son, to take care of their daughter. Everyone worked, and that's how it's going to go. It wasn't like
There's no more love.
there was no love. Everyone just left each other abandoned.
Because you were saying earlier, George was talking about they didn't have no love because they didn't love their daughters. They didn't make sure that their daughters had a good man, you know, and that's what America's doing now. I mean, you know, I don't have daughters like that.
I was about ready to interject. It sounds like the Cabbage Patch time is the same stretch we're in right now.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, yeah, I ain't got no kids, but you know, I look around, I see like, you know, the kids that I do see, they really don't have any damn father or mother anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we raised our kids backwards too, because we worked. Kids got to a certain age, you're like, get a job. And it just happened to be that, well, he's my youngest one. He come along, just happened to be, we were changing directions, went into trucking. We had threw away our corporate work and said, hey, let's go drive a truck to California every week. We got more spiritual. We got back to the book. We got back to scripture. We got back to our health. And so he just happened to be hanging out at that time. And, you know, and he was like, Dad, you know, they want me to join the military. They want me to go to college. I'm like, son, all I can tell you is that follow yourself. If anybody's rushing you or pushing you, you got to think why. Because I said, you know, so I just told him, you know, at that time, basically follow God, right? Follow yourself. Don't be pushed around, you know, because I didn't want him to follow me. I don't have a path for him. It was more like, you know, you need to listen to your own self and do what's right. And so that he was lucky at that time that he had the opportunity. My other two sons was like, you know, one of them went off and, you know, drove a truck. The other one went off in the military. They've got families and kids now, and they've moved on, and they, you know, they have their families on. It's all fine, you know. But he just happened to be here at the time that we were getting back into following God, getting away from man's ways, getting away from holy days, and getting away. There's a whole lot of trash we had to carry out because we had been in the corporate world and worked for the government. And, you know, we had a lot of trash to take out. He was with us. Mm-hmm. You know, we sat out there by the lake and read the Bible every day. We were learning scripture, and we were learning to get back in a natural good walk. And, you know, and then we had neighbors that were gardening and growing food and plowing, and he loved to plow and food. And so, you know, we kind of our life took on a whole new meaning when we returned to the earth, returned to the dirt, you know, returned to. I always told him the other day at the grocery store, I said, if you ever see a girl, I said, don't trust no girl, don't have no dirt on her fingernails. I'm telling you, buddy, I'm looking at all these things. I'm like, don't trust no women. I said, they ain't got no dirt on them. I saw this one lady had cowboy boots on. Looked like she'd been out there shoveling shit. And I was like, that's
my woman right there.
Gus,
I'm down for that.
Yeah. That's why Tata is. Tata, she's got to go out there and shovel food to chickens and walk in crap. And we use manure, you know, but I mean, that's, you know, stay real, right? Stay real.
Yeah. The realness keeps it real.
I mean, that's really helped you spiritually get back in spirit. You probably would have never gone back to spirit If we hadn't gone back to Spirit, I don't think you would have, because you'd probably been in the Army buzzed,
Oh my God,
shooting at somebody by now.
Probably trying to shoot myself. I'm done. Type of deal.
Yeah.
The one misconception about the sparrow, everybody, I've been hearing people talk about living like a sparrow. And growing up out of high school, that everyone's like, it's time to get out of the nest, fly out of your nest, get out of the nest. The Bible talks about it, live like a sparrow. Well, you're a human, you're not a sparrow. I mean, I agree. Fly to the direction that you're capable of going. Yeah. Make sure you can take flight. If you can't take flight, don't even try to flap your wings. If your wings ain't got feathers, you can't fly. No matter how hard you try. Pump them arms as much as you can, but if you ain't got no feathers, you ain't going nowhere besides the ground. So wait till you get feathers so you got a direction to fly to. And people were trying to push their kids out of their homes. Some of them have homesteads and stuff like that, and some of them are like, well, I want to still go and try the military and stuff like that. And certain situations where it happens, you come back from the military and your family's apart and your homestead's apart, and you ain't got any inheritance no more because the family split up. And
yeah, you were going to lose
many
everything.
families
My other boys jetted, so I figured he was going to jet. We had our passports, and we were going to move to Puerto Rico. Where was it? Not Puerto Rico.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. We have friends down in Costa Rica. I was out of this country. I'm going to sell this joint. But I'm like, this young man here, I'm like, you really want to make a go of this? Are you crazy? I didn't trust him. I've already had two boys.
Trust myself.
I didn't trust him. Honestly, just like anybody. I've already had two boys. I understand. They go for the city. They go for the money. They couldn't do the dirt. And I'm like, you're flunk. But no, he would. He would. He loves the dirt. He loves the plow. I was like, he's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
Because he loves natural things, and I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it took 3 shots to get one.
Better off a napkin. Shut up.
Yeah, that's bad. No, I mean, it's it's kind of like, I guess, well, like I said, God put you here at a time. Everything was timing. Everything.
It's timing.
I don't think, like I said, and I've told him, but we've been working together now. We got a family company here, and we have our own business, and we're financially, in great shape. We, like I said, we set our own hours. We do our own life. We don't follow holy days. We don't do none of that stuff. We don't even follow weekdays. My clock's upside down up there right now. I don't even follow. I don't even like clocks. All that stuff. I don't even have a phone. These guys can be phony. I'm done with that stuff. But that's helped him really. Now we go out in the world every day and we talk to the trees and we talk to the plants and we talk to the chickens and we find out.
That helps me a lot. Whenever Dad's like, what does this thing says? That helps me, like he wants to hear it, because now I'm like, oh, I can connect to this and say what it says. And he's like, yeah, that's funny. And he like accepts it. It's like awesome, good information and stuff. It helps me to be like, oh, I'm not crazy. I hear it all the freaking time. And it's like
he's helping us eat right. We don't bring anything. And she does the same thing. She's
doing it.
She'll hold broccoli to her. She's more confident in her feeling. Whether food's good or bad. She knows. She senses that stuff. She knows.
Right. Your wife's doing a form of divination we call tipping.
Yeah.
Tipping.
Yeah.
That's what she does. Yeah.
She's like us. I don't know. These two, I don't have to be spiritual. I just ask my, hey, are you? Don't make sure I'll let these two do all the tipping.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be spiritual. He just let me and Mom do it. I don't blame him.
Yeah. But they both know my spiritual walk, and they both tell you that it's always been God or nothing with me. So I don't have many friends in this world. I followed him and have always followed. When I found him when I was about 20. I found the Bible after a party I threw at Sheridan Inn down on South Cobb Drive in Atlanta. And I used to be a big partier, and when I found peace, man, I realized I knew I was missing something, but I never had peace. I had everything but peace. And when I found peace, I hooked up with God. I never turned back from God. Tina would tell you, Matt would tell you, I will betray everybody over God. I will not betray that relationship. And You know, I'm here. He's taking care of me. This world's never done nothing for me. This world and these people in this world ain't got nothing for me. But
You know,
he's always there for me.
you said something. You said something ago, like, and I've repeated something myself. I say, I've not come here to please your ego. That's not what I'm here for. So I'm not here to necessarily become your friend because I'm not here to please your ego. And Christ said, if they hated me, they'll hate you too. And so
Yeah.
I've told a lot of people, pick up your damn cross, right? Do what you come here to do. And a lot of people say, well, Devin, how do I know if I picked up my cross? And I'm pretty sure I did. I'm like, all right, does your family hate you? Do your friends hate you? No,
Exactly.
everybody loves me. You probably haven't
doing
picked
it
up
wrong.
your cross yet then.
You ain't picked it
Yep.
up yet.
Yep. Yep. Your cross is
That's
still
right.
by your legs.
Yeah, you're still serving your ego, which then you're going to serve their ego, and you haven't figured it out yet. So I'd agree. And what the hell fun it would be here to just go around serving a bunch of egos and having a bunch of false friends for that false ego that you're serving anyways. So no, I get it. It's and besides that, the creator's all around us, God's all around us, and I don't necessarily need to be around a bunch of people who haven't realized their own God spark yet. And until you have, well, you're not around people of God, you're around the fallen people of this world. So no, I kind of get that. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you reminded me of last night. I was thinking about a school teacher that I had, and she was my computer science teacher. And one day I came in to take the test because I'd been suspended or something, and I was always in trouble in school. And the principal was like, he can't take the test, he's suspended. And I'm standing there, and she's like, what? He's my best student I've got in my class. She goes, no, he's going to take this test. And I'm standing there and I'm watching this lady fight for me, right? And I thought, last night I thought, lady, I don't know who you are, but I hope that God blesses you. And I said, I don't know if you're going to get any blessed life, because I guarantee you, after you stood up for me, and that principal, I guarantee you didn't get promoted. I guarantee you that principal put you to the bottom of his list. But I prayed last night. I said, I hope that he gives. I said, God bless you. If not in this life, I know he'll get you in the next life. Because like I said, she stood up for what's right when no one else would. And that's someone that picked up her cross, because she fought for me. And like I said, I thought about that last night. You just made me remind me of that. But she was doing the right thing. She took the abuse, and I guarantee you she didn't get promoted. I guarantee you that he hated her because he was vindictive and a one mean son of a bitch. If he didn't have you in his controlling finger, he expelled me in my last week there to make sure I missed graduation, that son of a bitch. But anyway, just an example of someone that picked up the cross. She fought for what was right. She's lost in this world. She won't get the promotion. She won't get the house. She won't get that. But you know what? She's got blessings coming to her.
Yeah,
Right?
well, there's something you just said about having peace. And if you know that you have not done what is right by God and right by your fellow man, then I simply don't understand how you can find that peace, because you have to live with that knowledge that, oh, what Jesus told me, do unto others, I didn't do that. I did something that I wouldn't, that I should have done for myself, but I didn't. And there it is. That's the skinny, I think.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Let me ask you, because we've got about 15 minutes before we're at about an hour and a half. And, I don't know that you can answer this, but, I find that my own experience with Bigfoot and a lot of these other, interdimensional and the UFO picture, like it seems to keep unpacking. Now, sometimes like I'll see 12 chapters unfold in a couple months. And other times it seems like wherever this is going, in my experience with it, seems to go slow. But I mean, I'm not asking you to give me a prediction of the future, but like, where does this Bigfoot thing and the giant thing, like, where does this go?
It's to break the curse. Right?
Yeah. It was now I can explain
Go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
It's to break the curse, to be able to go back to the farms. There's nothing wrong to have with it. There's nothing wrong to have a city. It's wrong to neglect your forest creatures, your deers, your squirrels. It's wrong to neglect your farmers, your farms, your family. Nothing's wrong with the city. You just can't neglect your family. You can't neglect yourself. You connect. It's the curses. You got to break the curses within your own selves. Everyone, and my own self, and my generation before, families splitting apart. However it happened, it could have been just few words and families split apart, or someone passed and no one could stay together because one person passed away. I don't know how, but it's just curses. Break the curses and try to stick with the family and the farms and work with the creatures in the woods.
I kind of give you the more in on that, because I was just thinking that, like, you were talking about Bigfoot and Sasquatch earlier. We were talking about how they're two different things. Now the Sasquatches, this is what we've got from Scott. Now the Sasquatches, they're more ET mixed. Like I said, ET, the Greys, they like to mess with genes, and they came from Atlantis, and they're more curious. The Sasses are, and they also will get into your business. Now Bigfoots are more heart, more family oriented. They won't get into your business. They believe in sticking to it. Scott has told us, I don't know how many times, stay in your own business. He's got a family. He's got little kids he cares for. He's got a mom and a dad, and he does not. He's like a zebra to us. We're different species. We're not meant to be together. We're totally different. And they stay their own business, and they want us to learn that. We stay in our own business So here's this to tie this together. The difference between the Sasquatch and the Bigfoot is a Sasquatch will eat a Bigfoot. A Bigfoot will not eat a Sasquatch. And that is the bottom line if you want to know the difference. But you got to understand, the Sasses are just like us. They're mucked up. They've been mucked up. So you gotta have heart for them, because they're trying to change too. They're not. They're all have been abused, just like we have been, like the humans have been. And so anyway, that I hope that kind of ties that in, because I mean that's really that's what it's about, is love and family, as God wants. Leave the zebras to the zebras. Leave the giants to the giants. We can talk to them. We can be friends with them. They can be our neighbors. But it doesn't mean we're going to be sitting down with dinner. I'm not going to have George walk through here. He'd break my roof. And we're not going to have
Scott come in here.
We can't have Scott sitting here
rolling around in the floor and busting the floorboards.
Exactly.
And stuff
We can't
like that.
do that. No. But I mean, that shows you, like that. For example, and Scott told us the difference between the Sassies and the Bigfoots. There's a big difference. And he has to go out and fix problems all the time. We talk to someone that has a problem. We know someone that has a problem. Anyway, she's got a sass, and he's got the belt with the blue ball, which a lot of people don't know anything about that. But that's technology that they got from the Greys and the ETs back in Atlantis, and they travel in that instead of using telepathy and their abilities to travel with whatever those travel things where you guys can travel cyclically. They're using technology, that blue ball. But that sass, for example, he broke his tracker, and so they're not able to keep it up with him. But he still has to go to, like, I think he goes to the North Pole or something, just to make sure every once in a while, or he goes up to Canada, Alaska, and he comes back just to make sure they don't get a trail on him, because they'll cage him. If they catch him, they will cage him and punish the hell out of him. They're mean as hell, these ETs are, and they will do that to him. But that's a sass. And the thing is he's living, he's good, he's trying to he's helping people, that the community he's in there. There's humans, there's Bigfoots. But as you can see, what a horrible thing has happened to all of us. I mean, that's another good example of some dogmen. They're the same way. They're dogs. A lot of them have been abused and beat and done everything too. You can see. I mean, I'm going across the board with everything. Everything you'll see, it's all tied together. We're all been hacked, you know, and we see this truth. That's what we're telling, this truth. We tell you this stuff, look into it, think about it, talk to people, talk to Bigfoot, talk to ETs. You know, that's what we want to do. We want to, you know, to, set things right so that the curses are broke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of curses being broke. There's a lot of people talking about religion out there and how the difference between religion and spiritual. There's a whole lot of curses getting broke. Humans are going through a lot. Humans are learning so much about how wonderful their government is and how much they can trust their pharmaceuticals. Humans are learning so much, right? I mean, so there's a lot of curses breaking.
Yeah,
I'm learning, man.
from it.
I'm learning all the bullshit.
Yeah,
exactly right. It's all bull crap.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the first time I heard that there was a mandate to wear a mask, I told these guys, I was like, I need to go to Walmart. And they were like, why? And I said, I need some underwear. I need some underwear. I don't ever go to the store. I got a wonderful wife that does all that crap for me. I don't have to deal with these. I don't have to deal with these people in the world. I'm the most. I was unsocial for way before social distancing became popular. I was like the king of social distancing. So anyway, so I'm like, I'm going to Walmart. So I walk in there. I go down. There's a line of people, man, and they're wearing masks.
The first
and
day,
I'm ex-military, dude. So I still have I put my safety out there for people to have freedom, and I don't believe in trading my safety for freedom. The hell with that. And so I said, let's go. We walked in. These guys they were like ducks. They're with me. They've been through hell with me. These two are tough cookies, and so they come with me. And people were yelling, "Get in line! Get in line! You can't go in!" I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to arrest me. I've only been arrested. We've only been thrown out a couple times by cops at other places. Never wore a mask. Anyway, I walked in that place. These guys came with me. Of course, they didn't do anything. And I'm like, look, people, very aggravating. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how far people are gone. I hope people are waking up. I really do. From that time frame that was horrible to see so many people
just lining up.
Just do as the government said at that time. I don't think you'll see that again. I don't think so. I hope not. Dear Lord, I hope not.
What's sad is as the behavioral therapist here, I know human behavior, and a lot of people have just tripled down, even though they know that the shot didn't work, even though they know they got conned, they'll still say, well, I'm glad I did. There's your Stockholm syndrome, there's the woman who gets abducted and duct taped and raped and beat and eventually goes out for the guy and gets him as new victims,
in that case, we'll wait for the gardener.
Yeah, that's another thing.
I'm waiting for the gardener.
That's what George was telling me, is that that's why their city collapsed, was because the gardener came.
The gardener came.
He's coming back. And tilled the land of the Badlands. The Badlands got tilled. And the good children got picked up, the newborns, not, a few years, like, I know maybe 3 years and younger, but not like 7 years old and older. For some reason, they were left behind.
When you think about all those orphans, where'd they come from? You don't hear about. Now you're starting to put some. That was a God thing. God had to get rid of that crappy that crappy civilization. He put them. He moved them somewhere so they can get fixed. Just say that. Put them on another planet. Put them on Jupiter. Who knows? I mean, he moves things around.
Where they need to be put. God's a good father.
Yeah, so he loves his children.
He's put them where he needs to be,
where they can get right.
And
so there you go. These all those children. That was our new generation. That's us. We came from that time where there's all those orphans on buses. God left them to try to rewash man again. They're washing us again. It makes a difference.
Matt, I was going to ask you before we close up, although you may have already done what I was going to ask, because right before I asked it, you were kind of seemed to me you were doing a little bit of channeling. But is there anything before we sign off here you'd like to tap into and see if it's Great Spirit or that Christ light wants to say anything before we depart tonight?
I'm thinking Scott might want to say something. We didn't ask Scott.
Yeah.
Because I've been hearing in my head, Scott's like,
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah,
I got to tell
Scott.
Scott what to say something.
Yeah, I was meaning to get back to Scott because Scott,
I wasn't going to forget him.
he said he was about to pounce on something. He was. It was actually pouncing on a creature that was, it was a mantis,
Mars.
some mantis, scorpion king type of deal. You know, not like it's a king, but it's like that type of creature, mantis scorpion thing. He was about to pounce on him. Yeah, the one in Revelation. You know,
it's in Revelation.
He was about to pounce on him. Those things are very, very fast, and he was trying to have all his focus on this creature. He almost had him, but he tore him up. Scott said he tore him up. He tore him up.
Holy crap!
That sucker ain't gonna come back. He's in West Virginia. There's someone that we're gonna be talking to one day about that.
Okay.
But that guy got the story.
Well, so Scott's in West Virginia.
Yeah, tore up that creature.
Yeah, those creatures. It talks about in Revelation, and they're getting ready, and they're all around. A lot of people are blaming a lot of the tree breaks and a lot of things on Bigfoot. No, those creatures in Revelation. Just look it up. We had to look it up ourselves. Scott made us look it up in Revelation. Scott's like, look it up, man.
Look it up. It's on the
So
Bible.
we looked it up, and it is. You can read it. It's in Revelations, and they're getting prepared.
It's like
Those
the
people,
locust.
they're like a loaded locust. It's in Revelation.
Creature?
Revelation.
Or the scripture that's part of the scripture, do you remember?
I don't remember the part of the scripture. It was about the scorpion. If you go look it up, it's like a scorpion king,
Yeah, we did the research when we were talking to
mantis.
I guess you said something about mantis. I've seen some mantis beings, so I was kind of wondering what.
Some of them are good, but a lot of them are like the mantis beings. They're like the lead of the locusts.
Yeah, well, there's some they call like God's watchers, but they're not here for the good. Just put that one in your pipe.
Yeah, they're God's spies.
Yeah, God's spies.
Those are God's spies. They're not bad, but they're like
they're not. They're getting
good.
prepared, and they're going to be these people that are judging and fearing. They're going to be doing some means. They're getting prepared. Supposedly, they're getting prepared now. There are a lot. You notice a lot of people are reporting more and more things, especially around their houses and woods. There's a lot more damage. These things are supposedly getting prepared.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing
and it's not Bigfoot.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing from Scott, he's like, people are getting into chaotic situations inside their household. Just wait till the Scorpion King comes to them.
Yeah.
You know that they're feeding off of that negative energy. And if those that are still in that negative energy inside their own family household, they're actually creating the energy for y'all to keep up with that negative energy. So whenever they come feed off of you. They love it. They come to
if you're fighting and arguing or doing all that stuff, they're attracted to that. And like I said, they're kind of like God's spies.
I've seen him jump on the back of one person, whisper in that person's ear to go attack the other family member. Then when the other family member goes to fear or anger, they jump on top of that family member, and then it spreads like a damn disease.
Right?
Holy crap. It's true, too. It's very, very true, because I noticed it was happening around here, and some people that was around, and ever since we cleared out some areas, that took away that energy, that negative sap energy. Of course, it tried to come back, but it couldn't reside back here. And it does help cleaning out the shady areas of your household around you. If you got shady areas.
I love it sometimes because we're like we got to have some weird sync. So I was getting ready to say, man, I understand what you're saying about this shit because I had a closet that needed to be cleaned out for about a year, and I just, for whatever reason, wasn't going to go back there and do it. It was just like, you know what? The energy in this room's getting too icky, sticky. So I did the time, cleaned that dumb son of a bitch out, and I'll be like, damn, the room is like shiny and glistening and no bad energy. I was like, it was that closet. It needed to be just physically brought out and cleaned out. So I get it, man. I get it.
Yep.
Hey guys, man, I really appreciate you coming back on here again and opening up on the story. I have to apologize. I know sometimes some of the commenters have said, Devin, you talk too damn much. I get it. too many traumatic brain injuries, and I'm still trying to find my podcast legs here, if you will. So, but I think it was still all good, guys, and Spirit, I think, brought it out the way it was supposed to be brought out. And you guys, if you guys get any other big information or any other big revelations that come out and you'd like to share them, you've got a spot here to do it. So you're always welcome back here on the show. And if everybody watching, of course, checking the links, I'm going to link to all their information so you can go and look into a little bit more of a lot of the different Bigfoot stories that they've had and interactions that they've had. Guys, again, namaste. I appreciate you coming on. My hat's off to you. A lot of people can say a lot of things about what we're doing here, but I want to remind everybody that it's the man in the arena that makes a difference. It's not the guy on the sidelines who's talking shit. So,
yeah, cool. Well, you know where we're at, and we'll do like a monthly update with you or something, because we don't have no plans. I ain't got no plans, buddy. It's and I love to share. So
it was good to get off our chest.
You inspired us to speak, so that's why we're here.
You never know. I found in my own life, you never know. Like, sometimes things can unfold so fast. Sometimes the universe slows it down a little bit so you can settle with the new information. But if you get another one of those big just spurts of stuff coming your way, let me know. And of course, we stay linked together, so we'll keep in touch with each other. But guys, again, love you both. Thanks for coming on, and everybody, good night. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Devin. Love you too, buddy.